This is Rob Tebb of Boxing Social in association with Betfred. Delighted as always to be joined by former WBO World Middleweight Champion turned trainer, turned commentator, turned analyst and all around boxing gentleman Andy Lee. We're here in the immediate aftermath of Josh Taylor's stunning win over Regis Prograis in the World Boxing Super Series final. Andy, some night of boxing.
Absolutely fantastic. I came in just in time for Ricky Burns and Selby. Good fight, good trade fight, and both men fought well. Selby, better movement, bit more fresher was the difference. Then Chisora and Price, both were very dangerous, but both were vulnerable. I thought that that was a punch either way, but Chisora always looked like he knew what was coming. And then that last fight was stunning. Prograis-Taylor, what a fight! Just to be here, it's an honour. I'm so grateful to be asked to work. Whether forever it's with tonight BBC, and what an honour to be here and watch them two men fight like that. Huge. Yeah.
You've been around some of the biggest fights. You've been involved in some of the biggest fights, but you've certainly been around some of the biggest fights of recent times. How did that compare as an actual fight to some of the fights you've been around recently?
It lived up to. It was as good as anything I've seen. Maybe even a lot better in terms of the skill and the heart, and the will of both men, and the crowd bought into it. So the atmosphere matched it. There was a big Scottish contingent here for Taylor. What a great fight! And there was Prograis was probably the more skilled fighter of the two, probably the better boxer of the two, but he was outwilled and probably outsized. And I didn't know this before the fight, but I was listening to Josh Taylor's interview after the fight, and he said he lost his father-in-law, who he was very close to. He was in tears saying it, and that was probably the difference. He probably he made that sacrifice. He was probably in camp. He was in camp down here in London while he's travelling up in Scotland grieving, and there was some tough rounds there. I scored the fight a draw, but I wouldn't. One way or the other could have went easy. I've probably more so in Taylor's favour, but I had a draw. But what a fighter! What a good little fighter. Yeah.
It seemed to be that kind of fight, 7-5, 6-6. It was around that kind of ballpark. I think Regis Prograis made a very good start, considering the fact that he was in the away corner, partisan atmosphere, and then Josh's size looked to start to play a part in the middle rounds. Would you agree with that?
The fourth round was turning point in the fight. Prograis won the first three quite easy, boxing well, and I'm not sure if it was maybe it was the size. He was starting to feel the pace a little bit. Maybe Josh Taylor woke up in that round, or maybe Prograis took his foot off the gas and just let his concentration slip. What it did, it opened the door for Taylor, and he started to gain momentum and started to build, and he built about 3 or 4 rounds. I had to fight even after 6. I had to fight even after 8. I had it even after 10, and then I had it even after 12. But there was always one up. Great fight. Both men tip the hat to both men. Great fight. What boxing is about.
What I was going to come on to next, the World Boxing Super Series. I mean, you yourself were involved in certainly patches of your career where certain fighters in your division weren't taking certain fights against certain others. World Boxing Super Series eradicates all of that and forces them against each other. How much of a breath of fresh air has the series been for the sport?
The two competitions I've had have been hugely successful. They've taken a little time, they've been staggered, but they've got over the line in the end, haven't they? And the cruiserweight's done so much for Usyk's profile, and this will do the same for Josh Taylor now. He's going to be a superstar all over the world, household name within boxing houses, and hopefully that may continue. Now that Sky are on board, this was pay-per-view, so hopefully there'll be some money get behind it and keep the thing going.
You obviously worked with the legendary trainer Emanuel Steward. 2 questions. What would Emanuel Steward thought of that fight? And second of all, what would Emanuel Steward have thought of Josh Taylor? 16 fights, unified world champion, Ring Magazine. How would Manny have saw tonight and Josh?
Manny would have said, he's a tough little guy. I can't do the impression now. With only in his distinct voice, he would say that he's a tough little guy. I think he'd be pissed off with Prograis. I think he'd feel like he let the fight slip. I think he was fucking winning the fight, man. He just let the fight slip. Something along those lines. and he would say that Taylor's a tough little fighter, good little fighter. Yeah.
Okay, well, before I let you go, I do appreciate your time. I did mention it slightly tongue-in-cheek at the start of the interview, but you are now a trainer. Talk to us a little bit about your training career. You got yourself a young blossoming fighter.
Yeah, 2 now. Paddy Donovan. He's the future of boxing. I'll say that again because Paddy Donovan, because he's the future of boxing. You heard it here first. Jason Quigley, who is we're rebuilding, we're resurrecting him. He's gonna have a new life, and I'm really enjoying it. It's a lot of time and energy, but I am enjoying it. And the guys are easy to work with, and it's nice. You see them do things that you've told them or taught them, and it works for them, and they improve as fighters. It's rewarding in that sense.
Okay, well, hopefully we'll catch up about that and more sometime soon. Always a pleasure catching up with you. Always lurking around to see whether or not you're there for an interview. Andy Lee, real gentleman. Thanks very much for making for Boxing Social.
Thank you very much. Anytime.
Thanks, Andy.